Hi, welcome to MN Cage Buzz, Minnesota's premier mixed martial arts and news commentary program. Stick around, catch the buzz.
On Wednesday, September 17th, the Octagon opens its gates in the Omaha Civic Auditorium in Omaha, Nebraska for UFC Fight Night Live on Spike, when Nate Diaz puts his undefeated UFC record on the line against Josh the Dentist Neer. Tickets are on sale now at the Omaha Civic Auditorium box office and Ticketmaster.com.
Hello everybody and welcome to MN Cage Buzz. I'm Matt Taylor.
I'm Phil Holbrook.
This show is for you, the MMA fighter, the MMA fan. We're out here in Minnesota and with a lot of really great fighters up and coming, and some, incredible fighters like, Brock Larson, Brock Lesnar, Sean Shirk, Dave Manet. Minnesota is a real, right area for MMA, and we thought it'd be about time to bring that to you, the fans.
Absolutely. This is going to be a program not only about Minnesota fighters, but about the promoters, everything MMA in the Minnesota area.
If you have stories you want to submit, do that. If you want us to take a look at, please send it our way.
Yeah, we are always willing to see some cool stuff.
And we're even willing to look at some really bad stuff. So don't be afraid. Send it our way. Anyway, Phil, so we just had one of the best UFCs that the world has ever seen take place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. That was pretty cool.
that was amazing. That was such a great fight. I don't remember the last UFC that I was just so into.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, it definitely delivered. Obviously, the Roger Huerta, Kenny Florian fight was an awesome fight. Went the distance. Roger was not able to pull out the victory over Ken Flo, but he was in there the entire time. He never. He had some great escapes from the bottom. He got his back taken. Was it all 3 rounds he got his back taken?
The
first two for sure.
The first two.
Yeah, and then the last round he just kind of. He never did get in a dominant position, but he got kicked.
Yeah, Florian came out and was really, I think, looking to put him away that third round and just couldn't do it.
So that was definitely a good win for Kenny Florian, who was a top level, 155 pounder. When he went up against Minnesota's homegrown Sean Shirk, he ran into the juggernaut, but.
Yes, the Shark.
The Shark, yep. But still, nonetheless, it was a good showing for Roger Huerta, and I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, it was a great showing for Minnesota really as well. The fight was at the Target Center in Minneapolis, and it broke all kinds of records. I believe it broke the record for the highest amount of money that was taken in an evening at the Target Center. I'm pretty sure that they were over 2.2 million for the show, which blew away some Elton John concert.
Yeah, Elton John, Billy Joel. That would have been a fight I would have liked to see.
Yes.
But yeah, over $2.25 million was brought in by the gate, which was a record for the Target Center, and the UFC Zuffa's got to be happy with that, and hopefully they'll come back to our state and put on another show soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The next fight that we should talk a little bit about was with Little Brock, we like to call him, Brock Lesnar. We're good friends with Brock Larson, who's going to be coming up later on the show to talk about Brock Lesnar, among other things. And his tinier counterpart, Brock Lesnar, had a pretty good showing against Heath.
Yeah, that was, he put on a real good show. It was, he came right out with that flying knee that he tried. And then hit him with such a hard right.
Yeah.
I thought he was going out right there, but
yeah, I thought it was going to be a highlight reel knockout, but instead it ended up being a highlight reel 3-round ass kicking. I mean, Lesnar was on him like white on rice. he was on him.
It was a complete domination.
It was a complete domination. Yep.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people on the internet really thought that. Brock was being fed to the wolves again, like a lot of people said he was against Frank Mir, and I don't think that was true. I don't think that the fight against Frank Mir even. I don't think Brock was being fed to the wolves. I think that he had as good of a chance of winning that fight as losing it. And Mir did eke out the knee bar, but I mean, Jesus Christ, he was getting his ass kicked before that. So
yeah, and I mean, a lot of people know Brock Lesnar from the WWE.
Right.
But, you know, he was a
Stud.
national,
Yeah.
you know, wrestling champ.
Yes.
And, you know, there's just no coming back from that when he is laying on top of you the entire time. I mean,
Right.
he cut weight to get down to 265.
Right. There's not very many heavyweights that have to actually cut down to the 265. That's incredible. So, yeah, and I mean, it's not just his size and power. It's just the total package. I mean, I think he's a real contender, and he's here to stay.
Yeah, Heath was really. I mean, Heath was moving around under there, and he was trying to get away, and Brock just floated around on top of him and just kept control the entire time.
Yep. What did you think personally of the kind of the little bit of I don't know if you want to call it unsportsman's like conduct afterward, where he gave Heath a little shove at the end of the first round, or the whole lasso thing at the end of the fight? What do you think of that?
Well, you know, I don't know about the little shove at the end of the first round. I mean, that might have been stepping over the line a little bit, but all that stuff at the end. I mean, that's not unlike a lot of different fighters
right.
who have a lot of little end signature moves,
right.
and really, you know, that type of thing isn't gonna go away.
No. And I honestly think it sells tickets.
Yes, these are people that get in there, and there's a lot of adrenaline flowing, and you win a fight, and you're excited, and you know, some people keep their cool and calm and demeanor a little better than others, but you know, there's a lot of juices flowing in there.
Personally, I would rather see the guys talk shit and be rude and even unsportsmanlike than to come over after the word and give each other a nice little hug and a kiss, kind of like Ken Flo tried to give Roger Huerta at the end of the third round. Tried to give him the little snuggle, and I think Roger was like, "Just get off me, you know, just get off me, you homo." So, but you know, who knows? I don't know. That's just me. But I would much rather see, you know, the aggression. I mean, these guys are out there fighting, and I mean, I don't think it always has to be that way. But yeah, I mean, I know that Heath had started some shit before the fight, and I think that Brock was just following up. You know.
Yep, absolutely.
So what about the main event? I know that we're trying to focus on Minnesota fighters, and John Fitch is not a Minnesotan, though he could be. I think he could be an honosary Minnesotan.
Yes,
I think he's got the heart.
I'd take him as an honorary Minnesotan.
And the Canucks, they're almost like Minnesotans. Just a little Frencher than most of us. So, yeah. But what a great fight, huh?
I just couldn't believe that St-Pierre could not stop him.
Yeah, it was incredible.
That was just amazing. I mean, yes, St-Pierre won every round.
Absolutely.
I mean, hands down, he won every round. But just the fact that he could not finish Fitch off. I mean, how many punches to the face and elbows in the face in a row does a guy have to take before he goes out?
Right. I still think that in the end, you know, John's stock went up. I think everybody got to see that he really is a number one, you know, number two ranked fighter, and was well worthy of the shot. I mean, certainly was no easy fight for GSP.
Yeah, it was definitely a good showing for both of them.
And even the end of the third round, and Fitch is just a piece of beat up meat. He's still swinging every single time. You guys have got to see that fight. In other news, Kelly Cobalt. A lot of you remember her from the early fights at the Myth, and she hasn't actually fought since 2006, but she was on Bodog and suffered her first loss on Bodog. Kelly Cobalt, super tough chick, 125-pound fighter. She is going to be taking on Gina Carnero in the Elite XC on October 4th.
Yep.
That should be a fight.
That'll be a great fight.
I mean, Gina is pretty much as tough as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
But Kelly is a spitfire. I've seen her fight live twice, and both times she just killed her opponent. And both times her opponent probably outweighed her by 30 pounds. And she just cut right through him. Just a tough chick. So, and hopefully Kelly will actually be our guest on our next episode. So please watch for that because she's definitely somebody to watch.
Yeah, that'll be a really, really great fight. Even beyond the fact that you gotta love chicks fighting.
Oh,
but
who doesn't? And actually, I think that is the one huge hole in the UFC. I don't understand why the hell they don't have a female division. I mean, and I've never heard a good explanation for that. It just is ridiculous. So I can't believe it. So can't wait. And then Sean Shirk, UFC 90. He's going to be taking on Tyson Griffin. Rumored. This is still not confirmed. Rumored. That should be a good fight.
Yes. Tyson Griffin will not be one of those easy walkthrough fights.
No, not at all. I don't think Tyson Griffin has ever been a walkthrough fight for anybody. And Sean, I know, is got to be eager to get back in that ring and really put a hurt on somebody. So this is the time. I would never want to fight Sean Shirk, for the record, Sean, if you watch this. But this is not time to fight Sean Shirk. Coming off a loss like this, hungry to get back at that championship belt. I don't know. I feel kind of sorry for Tyson. I think he's going to have to take a big old whooping. So
yeah, I don't know. I tell you what,
but he's a tough cat.
I wouldn't want to be in the way between Sean and his next, his next go for the belt.
Yeah.
Because anybody standing in his way is going to take a beating, win, lose, or draw.
I've always thought that Sean is most dangerous when he's got his back against the wall like that. So, all right, well that's the news. Again, if you want to email me, it's matt@mncagebuzz.com. Please let us know what we're missing and what you want to see. We are with Adam McDonough today. Adam is one of the up-and-coming fighters here in Minnesota. How you doing, Adam?
Not too bad yourself.
I'm doing good. So you have a big fight coming up, right?
I do.
What is that about?
Well, I'll be traveling down to Tulsa, Oklahoma for Elite Combat League, based out of Oklahoma there. And I'll be fighting Jason Brazil. Holds a record of 5-1. Tough cat. It should be televised on HDNet.
Okay.
So I'm definitely looking forward to it.
And what's the date on that?
November 1st.
November 1st.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So a couple months away yet.
Now, what are you going to do to prepare for that fight, or what are you going to do differently to prepare for that fight? Let me ask you.
Tell you what, it's definitely a step up from where I've been fighting and who I've been fighting, and or who I've been fighting rather, and I need to get better all the way around. No doubt about that. But I'm looking forward to this training camp more than ever before. To be honest, I've never been more motivated, and I don't really know what's kicked in. I took a little bit of a break this summer, and honestly, I think that's really helped. But basically, I'm gonna seek more training partners, better training partners. I've always had good training and good training partners, but you just always have to expand. I'm going to be looking to team up with Komaya Dojo and come up and train with the best. Brock Larson, Kyle Jensen, Aaron Palmer. A lot of them guys are really making a name for the Midwest and especially northern Minnesota. And I'm a country boy. I'm a Minnesota boy, so I'm looking forward to rolling down there. And then I've got my damaging team down in St. Cloud that I train with, and they're hard-working group of guys, and also Dave Monet down in Osseo. So I just want to get a lot of looks, you know. Full-time college student, and you know, I just fight during the year, all year. So I have a lot of time to train. So I'm looking to get a lot of training in, and like I said, improve my game all around. For say a good instance, my last fight with Robbie Kriesel.
Yep.
For CFX Brutal, Brock Larson's show.
Yep.
Down in St. Cloud, Minnesota. I fought. Robbie was a very decorated fighter. One of the top wrestlers in the nation coming out of high school, state champ. And I feel, you know, Robbie couldn't handle the leather as well as I did. You know,
Right.
It was a great fight. It was fun.
Yeah.
You know, we got in there and we were banging heads and we were changing positions, and it was a scramble fight. You
Right.
could tell it was two wrestlers going at it. You
Right.
know, but in the end, I hit harder.
Yep.
Is what I think happened.
And that was the fight of the night, right?
That was the fight of the night. It was a good fight, and that's not taking anything away from Robbie. He's young, just like me, and you know, he's got a bright future in the sport. But you know, it's not just and Robbie actually was, you know, he was a good striker. He was giving me some good elbows and some good blows there. But you know, in the end, I think it's the leather that made the difference. So.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm remembering correctly, it almost seems like I remember the fight starting. You came out with your hand up to touch gloves, and he clocked you.
Yeah.
Well, what happened there?
Tell you what, I feel the sport is respect, you know,
Right.
and so I came up to give him some respect. I supposedly didn't raise my hand prior, you know, which
Right.
usually is a good. You guys commentated that, did you know? It's usually a good sign
We would
saying,
never
"Hey,
make fun of anybody.
Yeah. So we were trying to, you know, I thought it was pretty clear I was trying to tap gloves. You know, I wasn't even in my stance. I came out with my right hand forward because you're always supposed to shake with your right hand. So I came out southpaw, but really I was standing square, ready to tap gloves and then come back. And yeah, he hit me right upside the chin, knocked me right on my butt. So that was something I had to battle back from. And I was not cuckoo for. It wasn't so much. The punch actually didn't do much, but the elbow was following.
Right.
Because he knocked me on my butt. I was off balance and fell, and then he landed some pretty good blows after that. That rocked me a little bit, and then I had to kind of shit or get off the pot.
I highly doubt that'll ever occur again.
Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. You're 22. How many fights have you had?
I've had 5 fights.
And you've been victorious in all
I'm 5-0. Yep, I'm 5-0. I don't look to fight. I'm not one of those guys that's going to fight every weekend. You know, I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to get better between every fight.
Right.
I usually fight every 2 months.
Right.
I picked up, and I tell you what, I started training 3 weeks later. I had a fight. This was back in 2007 when I started training, beginning of 2007. And I realized on that fight that I was not ready to fight.
Right.
You know, I fought at 205 pounds.
Holy God.
Yeah, I was incredibly fat.
When you're
and
a
happy.
welterweight now?
Incredibly fat and happy. I'm a welterweight, but I'll be making my way down to 55.
And that's probably the appropriate weight for you. You
Yeah,
would say.
55 would be where I'm going to be at. I'll probably fight at welterweight for a while, though.
Right.
I'm comfortable up there. I don't get overpowered too much. You know, I feel strong at 70. I don't have to cut much weight for 70. I'm walking around a little fat, about 180, 185, but that's pretty normal for summertime, and I'm a couple months out of my fight.
But if you were going to take a big fight at WEC or UFC
Absolutely,
fight, it would be at 155.
I will be a 155 pounder within this year.
Right.
Within this year yet, I got just signed a 2-fight contract with the Elite Combat League. So if I win this next one, I'll fight for the title in February. And then we'll go from there. I've always been a competitor, and I do like to compete. I love to compete. And so like I said, I got recruited into it, and I said, hey, let's fight, you know. I probably trained for 3 weeks. I don't think I ran on a treadmill the entire time, because at the time I had no idea what I was doing. You know what I mean? I was going, I don't need to run, I'll just wrestle, you know. I'll just go in there and wrestle, and that's what you watch the fight, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I tell you what, I went in there and wrestled, and I think I hit the canvas about 95% of the time. There's probably some bruised mats still around from me, because I don't think I hit his face more than 10 times. I was swinging for it, I just wasn't hitting it, you know. So that happens, and I tell you what, after that I took some time and said, all right, you know,
How long was it between your first fight and then your second fight?
Oh, I think maybe 2 months later I got
okay.
in there again. And then after that, I really took a break, because the second guy I fought at 205 looked like a family of five could eat dinner off his back. It was just huge. And I ended up taking him down and hitting him with a couple big blows and submitting him. But after that, I was like, Jesus Christ, man, I am way too fat for this shit, you know, so, or the stuff.
It's alright, it's the internet, baby. You
right.
can say whatever you want.
Yeah, so I realized it was time to cut down and maybe get in a little bit physical shape. It took a couple months off to work this summer so I could pay my bills up ahead of time, because, you know, we all know we struggle making it as fighters, you know, yeah. and I'm looking forward to just hitting it hard all year, you know, coming in and, you know, God forbid, stay healthy and training anywhere and everywhere I can get my hands into and you know, getting better. So.
All right. Well, Adam, thanks for coming on the show today. You know, you've been really an awesome guest, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Bet,
appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you guys again.
Absolutely.
Working with you again anytime. Have me on. I'd greatly appreciate it. We'll have to get an update after the Oklahoma fight.
You bet, man. We'll have to have you come back.
Absolutely. Sounds good, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, stick around. When we come back, we're going to have Jared Farabin, black belt in Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu, here to talk about his new DVD, Plan B, Taking the Back. You're not going to want to miss it. And right after that, our From the Mat tip is coming directly from his new DVD. Stick around.
Here comes the armbar.
Put me in a submission, but I didn't tap.
All right, we're here with Jared Farabin, black belt in Guerrilla Jiu-Jitsu under Dave Camarillo. Has cornered 80-plus fights in Minnesota. I don't know, how many UFC and WC fights have you caught?
I think I've covered like 4 UFC fights, probably 5 or 6 WEC fights, and lots of amateur events and pro events in Minnesota. I don't really know the number.
So we've got you on here today because you have a new video out called Taking the Back. Can you tell us a little bit about what this is about?
Well, the core philosophy behind jiu-jitsu is to seek out, the weakest point of your opponent and to seize it. Now, a lot of people don't respond to getting hit and punched because of their bone structure. So the choke is a definitive end. You're looking to cut oxygen off to the brain. It's going to stop, all of the actions that the muscles wish to carry out. The brain is going to go into emergency mode because it wants to make sure that the brain cells don't start dying, so it's going to conserve all the oxygen for the brain, and the body's going to shut down. Whereas areas like an arm bar and a shoulder lock or a knee bar is going to be a lot of times pain compliant. The thing with taking the back is it's definitive. Just picked up a lot from the jiu-jitsu. The jiu-jitsu practitioners that are making it big in the world right now. Obviously, Marcelo Garcia and Dave Camarillo are probably 2 of the best I've ever seen at taking the back. And I've mapped my system off of their techniques that they've used and added in kind of Dave's guerrilla jiu-jitsu philosophy to that whole system, which is to attack anything, which, you know, punch, strike, you can attack an arm, but ultimately, how are we going to get to the definitive from that? So if he's defending the arm lock, he has to respond to it, you know, because that's a bad deal to be caught in that arm lock. So if he responds to it by grabbing his own arm or grabbing his hand because he doesn't want to get arm locked, then we're going to find that corner to the back. So it works real good for fighters because they're naturally aggressive. So we can show them the plan B off of the initial response to their aggression.
Well, this sounds like a great video, a lot of great information and technique. Where can somebody pick this video up?
It was just currently picked up by On The Mat. So On The Mat carries it in their stores now. Dave Camarillo carries it on his website, dcacademy.tv, and also on brocklarson.com. They
Great.
have it for sale. So I'm sure it'll be floating around on some other sites as well.
That sounds great. Cool. Well, thanks for coming in today.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, this next series has to do with defense. We're defending his positions, the opponent's positions. Now, when we defend, the best defense is an attack. So every time we defend a position, we're going to our home, which is the back. We're going to start off when he's mounted. We're going to do a half guard shrimp and a shuck. So from here, we always want our elbows down and in, not allowing him to get under the arm or he'll do the tricks that we previously went over, and we can't have that. So we're going to keep our elbows down and our feet straight. Once we're here, we can't allow his arms to start pushing our elbows up, so we're going to have him commit. Our first attack is going to be a bump. Now his hands have went to the mat and he's committing some of his weight forward. From here, we should be able to bridge and turn slightly to create a wedge with our elbow. Once a wedge with our elbow is created, we can apply some pressure. This pressure is very important in order to manipulate his leg or femur. From here, we're going to straighten our left leg, our right leg's going to come over the top, and we're going to push that down with that wedge. Right away, we're getting the underhook. Notice the leg has control of his leg in case we have to go to a secondary option. From here, we're going to take our shoulder and shuck him out right to back half. Now there's different options from back half, and we'll go over that in a little bit. So one more time, on the shrimp to the back. Elbows in, bump, turn, wedge, feed, and come through. Shuck, back half.
Okay, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we are going to have a WEC veteran and #1 contender for the welterweight belt, Brock Larson, in studio. Stick around.
How you doing today, Brock?
I'm doing great.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for being our first official superstar guest.
What an honor!
So you just finished beating up a guy named Prater here last month.
Carlo Prater, he was a tough guy. He's got a lot of big wins, and a pretty big deal to beat him the way I did, so it was nice.
Yeah, that was you made pretty short work of it.
Yeah, I mean, they were telling me go out there and make a statement. If I did so, they'd give me a title shot, so I had to go out there and give her my all, and it didn't take long, so it was good.
What was the official time on that?
37 seconds.
37 seconds. And I saw in the beginning of the fight, he took a pretty big swipe at your head with his size 10.
Yeah. Crazy guy was trying to freaking kick me in the head. So I figured I better get to business and punch him before he could kick me, so I had to do my thing.
And you did, basically, what did you do? You did a little knee tap and then came with an overhand left?
Yeah, just kind of faded a little bit, faked him out a little bit, and I brought his hands down just enough to get my hands over the top and hit him right in the mouth, and I kept hitting him until Mazzagatti pulled me off.
Yeah, indeed. I think I counted there were actually 4 strikes before he hit the ground, including the big one. So
I reacted a little bit better this time. Last time I got my knockout against Kevin Kanajbian, I reacted. I pulled back. I couldn't believe I hit him. So this one is a little better. So I'm improving. My reaction's getting better. I'm going forward. So
did you do anything different to prepare for this fight than you've done in the fights leading up to these?
Biggest difference was I went out to AKA out of California and trained with John Fitch and a lot of tough guys out there. So that was the only big difference. And then just train with my boys that I train with every time. So that was just a good deal.
Do you think that made a difference to go out to AK and do some
I'm
training?
sure it does. Anytime you go anywhere different and train with studs out there, like Jake Shields just won the world title. Fitch just fought for the world title, and hopefully I'll be the trifecta, and I'll get that title win, and then AKA can say, look what we created. So
exactly. So let's talk a little bit about the title. It looks like you're going to be facing Carlos Condit. Do you have a date on that yet?
They haven't set a date yet. Just trying to figure out. It's all on Carlos's end, whether he's gonna, what he wants to do, how soon he wants to defend his title. So it's in his court right now. Whenever he wants to decide it, wherever, I'm game.
So what if he doesn't want to fight until the beginning of next year? Do you want to wait that long, or?
Well, I'd rather fight him today, but
are you willing to wait for the title shot? Is what I'm asking, or are you going to fight in between there if you get the opportunity?
Well, if they say, hey, Brock Connor's not going to fight for 6 months, we got another fight for you, I'll take the fight. I mean, first things first, I'm a fighter, I want to fight, so I'll fight and I'll beat up whoever.
So you're not going to try to protect that #1 contender position?
No. Well, I've done it. I've been in that shoes before where I was supposed to fight Condit last June, and I fought Kevin Kanajbian, who was a tough guy that nobody knew about, which was a risky fight. I took that fight and then fought Condit after that fight. So history.
Well, and Prater was not an easy matchup for you.
No, Prater was tough. I mean, I was a little nervous, going in against Prater. He's a tough, top guy, and he's got huge wins, and hard guy to fight. He ekes out a lot of wins and kind of slows down the pace a little bit, and I like to be a fast starter, so it was kind of a styles matchup. If he had his way, it was going to be a slow fight. If I had my way, it was going to be a quick fight, and my way won. So
excellent. Go ahead, Phil.
Did you see then Condon's fight later that evening? His title defense. What did you think about that?
Yeah, that was a great fight. I mean, he got judo tossed many times, and he reacted well to it, and fought and was exhausted, and still found a way to dig deep and get that win. I mean, I was impressed by how much he endured and still came out on top. So, I mean, that was no joke fight. A lot of people said that it was going to be an easy fight for Condon, but I knew it was going to be a tough one. So I was watching. I didn't know who I was going to fight.
It doesn't seem like Japan, puts out any easy fights.
Yeah, every guy that comes out there is tougher than nails. They don't quit, and they're just. So anytime you're fighting a guy from Japan, you got to go to work, and you got to be in shape to fight because they're not going to quit. So.
Let's talk about your favorite person in the world, John Alessio.
That name, that name always seems to come up.
The other night, Brock and I were watching the Alessio fight the first time you got to see it where he took an illegal knee to the jaw and actually fractured your jaw.
Never fractured it.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay.
They thought it was fractured, but it wasn't fractured.
So essentially, let's tell the folks what happened.
Well, initially the whole fight started from a quick fight. Alessio backed up like he does. Backs up, won't engage in the fight because he's afraid to engage. And then put him into the fence, and I shot in. He tried guillotining me. Didn't work. Got out of his guillotine. Pounded on him, went to knee mount, pounded on him. Then went to mount. When I mounted him, he oopa and rolled. Went to my butt, and then he kneed me in the face. And the doctors came in, and the doctor said it might be fractured. Can't continue. So then Alessio went onward to do flick off my corner, flick me off, tell me to F off, tell everybody to F off. And so he's a punk.
So
That's what I'll have to say
So
about that.
after the fight, when I saw that after the fight, I saw you walking over towards him, and I heard the announcer saying, "Oh, this can't be good." And what was that exchange between the two of you? What did you say?
He called me frickin' pussy, and I went over there and said some choice words to him, saying that he was a frickin' cheater and frickin' just a bunch of stuff about John and each other. Who knows really what was coming out of our mouths at the time, but I moved on. I'd love to fight him again, and if we did, it'd be a bad deal for him because again, if someone drives me to train, I'd train my butt off the way it is. But if something like that feeds me when I'm training, it's gonna be a good night for me. So, maybe somewhere down the line, maybe it'll happen again. But I'm over that now. I'm focused on Condit and winning that title and being a world champion, something that he couldn't do. So, that's kind of where I'm at.
Let's talk about the big event, the UFC came to Minneapolis. You were there, right?
I was there. I had the best seats in the house. Thank you UFC for the tickets. It was a phenomenal show from the undercards all the way to the main event. Everybody delivered. I mean, it was a good fight as advertised. All the hype actually stuck around, and it was a good fight. Not all the right guys won, but what do you do? That's why it's fighting. So,
Your only other loss besides Conan is Fitch. What'd you think about that fight against GSP?
and I don't know what you have to do to that guy to stop him, man. I think you have to put a slug in him because
That was pretty
my
amazing.
goodness, he's talented and tough. And he's St-Pierre, to his credit, man, he did a good job. My God, but it was a great fight to watch from a fan base, and knowing John and training with John and fighting John. I didn't like the outcome so much. I was kind of wanting John to pull off the win, and but losing to Pierre is nothing to hang your head about. I mean, it was a great fight, and
Especially not.
people are
losing
still
that
talking
way.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it was.
I mean, I think John's stock went up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think he lost anything by that fight. He's still got a lot to learn too. So it's one of those things. In a couple of years he'll be back, and he'll probably take that title.
And he gave you your first loss,
He did give me my first.
and that I think brought you to the next level.
loss. Absolutely.
You realized that you were not indestructible.
Yep.
And hopefully it can do the same thing for Fitch. It's kind of weird. A lot of people don't know that Brock actually fought one of his training partners, though at the time they hadn't trained together. But was it your first fight in the UFC?
First UFC fight. It was both of our first fights, and it was the Spike Fight Night 2, the second fight night, and it was a war, 3-round decision, and Fitch out wrestled me and fought me. So I learned a lot. I figured, hey, I got to go to work on my hands because I had none, and so I mean, ever since then I've been doing good things and knocking people out and figured out this whole fighting thing.
So what about Little Brock? He did pretty good.
Yeah, Little Brock did all right, didn't he? A few pointers that I showed him shine through, like that tackle. I got to work on him a little bit with that. He's got more of an angle when he tackles people. And they just somersault over. So, but no, he did good. He's a great guy. He interviews well. And behind the scenes when the cameras ain't on, he's the quietest, most modest guy in the world. And
Right.
Very low key and doesn't like a lot of attention when he's training or anything like that. So it was a good win for him. I mean, top 10 fighter in the world. His third fight. How many people do that? Their third fight in their career, second UFC fight, they're fighting guys in the top 10 in the world. That's insane. But he's one of those guys that aren't going to be one of the lucky ones to get that learning curve. You know,
Right.
I fought
name power.
I fought 10 nobodies. You know, then I got comfortable with the cage and I started fighting somebodies. But he's not going to get that luxury because who nobody's going to fight Lesnar. You know, so and the UFC has no nobodies, so it's every fight's going to be a tough fight. And but I think he's up for the challenge. You know, he knows, he works hard, and he does what he does, and you know, he's such a awesome athlete and such a good student that I think he's going to be fine.
So, you think the UFC's coming back to Minneapolis?
Absolutely. You know, talking to some of the guys that are in charge around there, they're definitely interested in coming back. They're going to try out a couple different venues maybe, and just kind of look and see what's around. And you know, one thing the UFC's always doing is looking for bigger and better things. So they'll shop around and see if they can find a better facility, maybe the Excel Energy Center. Maybe not. Maybe they'll back the Target Center. You know, and hopefully they can put on another great card like they did this time. This best card I've seen in 6 months, I think.
Let's talk a little bit about your last fight. After it was all done and over with, you had an interview, and when we saw the interview, we thought it was a little bit cryptic. I think you said something about being a little warrior with a bow. What was that all about?
Well, you know, we're not allowed to thank our sponsors anymore. So one of my biggest sponsors, and they have been since my first few fights, has been Warrior Wear. So of course, you know, I wanted to thank them without thanking them. And then Bowtech, the archery folks, sponsored me, so I figured it fits together. I'd tell them I'm a warrior with a bow without actually getting in trouble and thanking my sponsors. So I just plugged them as well as I could, and I was hoping that everybody would be able to figure out the connection with the hat and the shirt. That's what I was talking about. But, you know.
Well, what's next is, you know, if everybody will have it, I want that WC title, and, you know, who's ever got that belt, the big fight tonight, exciting fight tonight, whoever wins that belt tonight or has that belt by the end of the night, I hope I'm there, you know, and I'm like a little warrior with a bow. So that's what I want to do. Let's do it.
And I probably don't make a lot of sense. I really wasn't really thinking that much about it when I said
Was that
it.
was that on the cuff? Did you like just?
Yeah, it was. I just winked. I'm like, couldn't figure out how to thank my sponsors, and I just, I'm like a little warrior with a bow. Why a little warrior? I'm not sure. I should have been a big warrior with a bow, but I don't know. It just came to me.
Okay, Brock. You work with just an array of Minnesota fighters. And some of them, you know, have met with some success. You know, we got the Jeremy Lang, and we got Kyle Jensen that have hit the WEC, and then of course the big guys like Brock Lesnar and Sean Shirk. But what are some of the up and coming fighters that maybe our fans haven't, like we have fans yet, that the people out in Minnesota haven't heard of?
Well, you know, Minnesota's full of talent. I mean, we've got, Adam McDonough, who's going to be on here, and he's going to be talking about some good stuff, I'm sure. You know, he's going to be one of the up-and-comers, of course, and a lot of guys over in the Fargo, Moorhead area that tons of talent over there. If we can get those guys training well, they're going to be tough as nails. And then, in Brainerd here, we got, like you said, Jeremy Lang, and we got Kyle Jensen, and we got Aaron Palmer, and we got the Kent Nathys of the world, and the Nate Scutts. Tons of guys that are just about there, and they got to put a little more time in and train with the right people. And Minnesota's going to burst on that scene. We're already known for our toughness and stuff, but soon we're going to be known for our pool of fighters that are going to come out.
Can you see us as like Minnesota as like the next Iowa? Just breeding champion after champion.
Yeah, I think so. We got it. There's tons of good gyms. If we can all get together and train together. Manet's got a wonderful gym that he's got some studs coming up too. The Minnesota Martial Arts Academy, and Kome Dojo. Those are the big ones. Revolution Defensive Fitness is starting to train fighters now too. So, there's tons of gyms. So hopefully we can all get together and we can all train together, and soon Minnesota will be put on the map, and they'll be comparing us to the Iowas and the Californias. So I think it's coming. So Minnesota's gonna be on the map soon.
So, well, thanks for coming, Brock. Thanks for being our first superstar guest. And we really look forward to watching you and your upcoming fights. And I know you're going to be back, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're in my debt.
Yep, and absolutely. Thank you guys for having me on. It's an honor to be the first, and I'll be watching.
All right, cool.
Now everybody's going to be watching you, so.
Exactly.
Thanks for tuning in to our very first episode of MN Cage Buzz. Email us with any questions or comments. We'd be glad to hear from you. And in the meantime, keep checking the website for new episodes so you can catch the buzz.